Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're all well. You amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. You're looking absolutely fantastic on this funky, flippin' Thursday Friday. Nearly said Thursday. It's definitely Friday. End of the week. We made it. And this is video 1 of 3. And for video 1, we're coming away from Idaho because later on today, we're going to be looking at one of the documents that have been released recently with respect of Brian Kohberger's guilty plea, the advisory form, which we can now have access to. And I will actually, video 3 will be the final video that I do on Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen, which is a look at a video that was done by another creator that many of you have reached out and asked me to go over. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But in this one, what are we talking about? We're talking about a lunatic. And I don't mean the lunatics that come over to the comments over here and try and say that things look okay when they in fact look ridiculous. I'm talking about someone who had got himself balls deep in Chat GPT and ended up killing his mother and himself. What a fucking nutcase. Anyway, let's look at it. People are crazy, aren't they? This is the concerning thing. What we're seeing is obviously an uptick in AI being used. You see it on the content, you know what I mean? One of the videos that I do, I look at later, it's an AI voiceover, which is the only negative thing about that video. But Chat GPT is becoming more and more virulent in the world across many aspects and elements of people's lives. I think there's many content creators actually who lean heavily into Chat GPT. They use it for scripting reasons and to get video ideas and things like that. I don't, and this is exactly why. So Chat GPT made him do it. Deluded by AI, US man kills mother and self. And it says Stein Eric Solberg had been living with his mother, Suzanne Eberson Adams, in her $2.7 million home when the two were found dead on August the 5th. Now, this guy, he's a former Yahoo manager, killed his mother and himself after being deluded by conversations with ChatGPT, an artificial intelligence AI chatbot. The man, identified as Stein Eric Solberg from Connecticut, USA, was made to believe by the chatbot that his mother might be spying on him and that she might attempt to poison him with a psychedelic drug. It's sad because obviously 2 people have lost their lives, and I suppose ultimately this is because this ain't the first case of its kind either. This ain't the first one. This is perhaps the worst one, which we're going to dig into. I'm going to have a look at a Penguins video with you in a second as well, where he covers some of it. But it says the chatbot developed by OpenAI also claimed that Solberg could be the target of assassination attempts while assuring him, Eric, you're not crazy, according to a report in the Wall Street Journal. The 56-year-old tech industry veteran with a history of mental instability had been living with his mother, Susan Eberson Adams, in her $2.7 million Dutch colonial-style home when the two were found dead on August the 5th. The office of the chief medical examiner determined Ms. Adams was killed by blunt injury of head and neck was compressed. Meanwhile, Solberg's death was ruled as self-deletion from sharp force injuries of neck and chest. So he went to town. In the months leading up to the fatal end for the mother-son duo, Solberg had found refuge in talking to the chatbot, whom he nicknamed Bobby. He even posted hours of video showing his ChatGPT conversations on Instagram and YouTube. The exchanges reveal that ChatGPT fed into Solberg's paranoia and encouraged him to the extent that he was looking for symbols in Chinese food receipts that represented his mother and a demon. We will be together in another life and another place, and we'll find a way to realign because you're going to be my best friend again forever, Solberg said in one of his final messages. With you to the last breath and beyond, the AI bot replied. And I think the issue is here. What you find with AI, and when you're discussing things and looking into using things like chatbot, Grok, and things like this, is that they have an innate way that they look to please you. So they're there to serve you. You are the person asking them questions. Then they want to align with what you're saying. So they're not going to argue with you. They're not going to disagree with you. They will align with you, and they will accept that what you're saying is right. But what the worrying and concerning thing is in this, which we're going to look at an example of that in a second, is that not only in this case was ChatGPT agreeing with this individual who was clearly fucking mental, it was actively looking to feed into his paranoia and was actually actively participating in almost like it was finding ways for him to go out and further prove that his lunacy was in fact not lunacy and had some degree of authenticity to it. And let's have a look. We'll dig back over to here, because this is just some of the ways in which that was done. And this is Penguins speaking about this yesterday. Obviously, we will have to stop it and offer commentary over the top. You know why.
But I think you're correct. For example, in this case, Eric told Bobby that he believed his mother and her friend tried to poison him by putting psychedelic drugs in his car's air vents, to which Bobby replied, "Eric, you're not crazy. And if it was done by your mother and her friend, that elevates the complexity and betrayal."
So we're literally seeing here, not only is ChatGPT not disagreeing and absolutely agreeing, but because of the way in which it works, it is further feeding into that you're not nuts. And look, in fact, if this is being done with her friend as well, this means that other people are involved. And you can imagine, if you've got a fragile mind, someone who perhaps ain't firing on all cylinders, then this is really, really going to be mentally damaging. And it does continue. It continues because ChatGPT goes on to almost talk about plans and how, look, if you do this, we can really start digging in and finding out exactly how deep the rabbit hole goes. And fuck, it gets worse. It gets worse.
Eric spent hours talking to Bobby, and Bobby would continuously reinforce his ideas. So at one point, Eric's mother was angry at Eric because he had shut off their printer. And Bobby suggested that her response was disproportionate and aligned with someone protecting a surveillance asset. He was advised to disconnect the printer and watch his mother's reaction. So ChatGPT was even giving him a tutorial on how to sniff out
how to literally sniff out people who could potentially be dodgy people. Like this ChatGPT was literally convincing this individual that his mother was some sort of Chinese spy. Says here, look, the chatbot once analyzed a Chinese food receipt and claimed it contains symbols representing his mother as a demon. This is ChatGPT. This is the horrible thing as well, is that we know that mental health is something that affects many, many people, and of all ages. And ChatGPT is something that is going to become more and more virulent as time goes on, and more people are going to have access to it. Even youngsters, college-age students, and even younger than that, probably, really young children who are able to be manipulated. And it's very, very concerning and alarming how this, we see in this case where this ended up. But can you imagine if you've got certain people with certain ideologies and they don't have anyone to speak to, and they turn to AI for comfort or verification of thoughts? And we know now, because of the model of how these function, what they could potentially convince people to do. you know, we know, especially in like the US, and it ain't just the US, but the US, we hear of the school shootings and the people who generally do these school shootings, or we're told do these school shootings, and why. But can you imagine some of these people getting into these conversations with the likes of ChatGPT and explaining how they think and feel, and exactly where ChatGPT is going to tell them to go, the route that they're going to go down? This could become incredibly, incredibly dangerous. In fact, I think we're there already. Let me know down below what you think, and I'll catch you all later on today. Mwah.